want to do it. Looks pretty good. We do it. Okay.
All right, team, it's Tuesday. That means, once again, it's Trevor and Chuck at 4 p.m. Representing Heroes Martial Arts, right? We're going to be warming up, doing the same old thing. I'm going to build through and do the natural progression of just stack pass defense. I was just showing defense, and I was itching to show sweeps and submissions. I'm going to be doing that, and then finally at the end, kind of more preemptive defense. Anyway, that's more my lesson plan, but let's just get warmed up. We're going to be hands on the wall. This is mostly just for Chuck and I. Almost certain nobody's going to be watching right now. Everybody's trying to tacos, beer, tequila, if you're into that sort of thing. Especially during these quarantine times, we're trying to get maybe savoriness into the life. For us, we get a nice hour of Jiu Jitsu, and then we get to have our fun. One thing at a time. Have a creature of habit, and to do the same things over and over. Good to have a baseline, kind of scientific experiment. Control. What's your safety always? Alright, I think I did both ways. Alright, big hugs. This is just, once again, mostly for us, and just basic routine. If you're tired of it, you could just be on the couch waiting for the good stuff. Nice and sore. Going back on our heels, up on our toes, just getting those calves warmed up, and just a balance drill. Your head tends to go, your body tends to go. Shoulder width, hands on those hips. Generally, if you're trying to skip the warm up, moving to about 15-20 minutes in the video after you've watched it is usually a good variant. It circles either our head back. Oh, that's close. Alright, let's go big breath in, Chuck, and whoever, maybe. Big breath in, pressing those hips forward, exhale out. Same old thing, big breath in, exhale out. Let's go reach down to our toes. Same old thing, big breath in, exhale out. Same thing again. On that last exhale, switch your stretch. Drop your feet to the ground, head down goes low. Shouldn't feel like much of a strain. Depending on how much your elbows hurt. Couple of deep breaths, same old thing. Dive on in. Core stretch. And a couple of breaths, look left, look right, do what you gotta do. Big breath in. Child's pose. We're gonna flip over our butt. I'm just gonna get some basic stretches. Yeah, again. Encourage everybody to get up off the couch and sit on their butt and stretch. It's really hard, someone's don't have a lot of space, maybe there's a table in the way. Move the table. Switch legs. Some of the first times I would grapple would be on carpet or some crazy surface. Would be the first time. Sometimes marble floor, sometimes grass. Gotta do what you gotta do. Always want to test. Both of these work. And you gotta ask yourself, why was I in the situation to have to use my jiu-jitsu, or whatever that situation is? Jiu-jitsu outside the dojo is not fun. Open. I'm doing this. Still butterfly. Just got a couple more stretches, and we're gonna get some 1-minute exercises in and some jiu-jitsu motions that'll get our core and our brain oriented how I need it to. Got the butterfly and the cocoon here. Alright, no legs over my head. Let's just do some quick cat and cow. Hands under our knees under our shoulders, especially because there's going to be some stacking involved, some folding. Mostly on my end, but Chuck was also going to get stacked maybe. Make sure my dummy stays good and loose. Quiet, Rufus, too. We are bored, we joke. Everybody's going to be fast forwarding because I told him to anyway. Or not. So set the pointer dogs on your exhale. Big in. Exhale out. Opposite arm, opposite foot. All right, we're getting up on our feet. I'm going to set the timer for us. Squat calf raisers for the whole minute. Deep breath in through your nose. Exhale through our mouth. We're holding our breath. Come up on your toes. Also flex those hips forward. Just doing this for time, concentrating on our breathing, concentrating on your form, your technique. Follow through. Nice stable place on the mat helps too, wherever you're standing. Ten more seconds of this. Push your parachuters are in order. Reach your habit. Like to kill two birds with one stone. Down for a push-up, up for a parachuter for that whole minute. Concentrating on your breathing, concentrating on your form. Now halfway through. Enjoying all the cracking bone sounds. 15 more seconds. We'll switch it up a little bit. Let's go scissor kicks for the first 30 seconds and leg lifts for the other 30. So we're gonna go hands under our butt, straight legs, scissor kicks for that first 30 seconds. Pretty standard. Keep it in that middle zone, not too high, not too low, somewhere there in between. Halfway through. Go and rest for 2 seconds. All right, leg lifts. Again, locking your breath to your movement. With your nose, exhale through your mouth, in that order. 10 more seconds. I'm gonna do some streamers. It's gonna be a really, really important motion for me today against stack passes that are going to be showing counters to it, sweeps and variations and such. So for the first 30 seconds, we're starting with those inward circles. Sometimes you're going inward, sometimes you're going outward, all depending on the situation. And the rotation comes from your hips, not your knees. Being kind of lazy, having your hands behind my head, be a little more hardcore by it, and you have your neck stronger. About halfway through your inward circles. Right knee. All right, let's switch to outward circles. I used to only be able to go this direction. I was like, nobody's like inward circles. I'm like, what? I had to run that. Kind of embarrassing as purple belt. Fundamentals, man. Last thing, we're going to be doing bridges because I'm going to be doing combinations or two more things actually. We're going to be doing bridges and pendulums because you're not going to be able to get out alive in jiu-jitsu without using all these tools in certain orders here. So feet connected to the ground, feet up and over our collarbone, not necessarily go side to side, just way up. Keep those feet connected. And I keep doing this to myself. That's how bad it is. About halfway through. Almost done. Last thing, penduluming side to side. Then we'll be putting our gis on, getting a quick sip of water, and showing some pretty sweeps that I like to do. And I shouldn't have to explain this much. The advanced students are going to be watching this video because I'm going to be rolling over white belt heads. Not that you can't do it. Well, right technique, right time. 30 more seconds of this. I'm going to get nice and warmed up, ready to do what it needs to do. Going to be a hot class. Who's he talking to? Keeping good habits. All right, team, I'm going to start talking. So, if you're watching my last week's classes, you're seeing lots of recovery from lots of different areas. There's lots of different sweeps, lots of different submissions from many different positions from there. I'm going to zero in on like basically the roots, I feel, of all these in between positions. If you can kind of master these sweeps and these positions, you can kind of learn kind of anything and pretty much kind of pick and choose what you want to do. But these first sweeps are pretty important. The first sweep that I'm going to show is probably the hardest one out of all the sweeps that I'm probably going to talk about today. I think there's kind of like a universal general reason for that. Sometimes this happens. It's like, oh, this first sweep generally ends up being hard, but if you can hit it, you have to do less work. But that's why there's always extra options. Anyway, what am I talking about? So Chuck's going to be in whatever sort of stack situation that he wants to be, single, double, whatever. But he's beating me around the corner right now. There's a lot of different things that I can do. But right now I'm in the frame of mind that I'm getting back my barrier here. I'm throwing my leg over, right? And let's just say for right now, let's get him to sit back so I can kind of talk. There we go. So generally, they're going to reset their other arm, right? Like I was saying, if they keep this here, this might have some other interesting things going on. But you might try to flip me up from here. But even then, there's a million different things. But for right now, let's say he kicks that arm out, and I'm going to engage with my grip here. Okay, cat's paw grip, just a standard grip over the sleeve here. And then we grab the outside of my opponent's knee. Sometimes people pants are a little bit annoying, right? Just try to grab wherever you can. And Chuck's case has got a lot of pant fabric there. This is just so he can't really move side to side on me. Okay, because if I let go, he's going to be able to move. And anytime you have control of both sides of your opponent's body, I have control of the right side and the left side, it's going to make it really hard for him to move. Okay, and you have to have this frame of mind. Like if your opponent was trying to pass, they felt good. Right, I've been training with a couple dudes here and there, like when they're trying to pass. So of course they're really trying to pass. Everybody should be really trying to pass. But the more and more you try to pass, the more and more you kind of get caught in traps, the more and more you kind of move. I'm gonna hopefully try to open up your mind in this area here. So I have these two grips. I'm being kind of lazy with my position right now, but I should have my shin across the hip line here, and I should have my leg over. Okay. Generally, my knee crevice is going to be over their neck, right? I'm not really concentrating on this too much. I'm going to be really concentrating on alleviating the pressure. So I'm going to keep Chuck on down on his knees for right now, but I'll show you what I mean by when he starts pressuring me. So ideally, even if he does sit back, this is a reaction to him trying to smash through on his right side is a reaction. Him thinking that he can pass through on this side is also a reaction. So there's only so many things under the sun that they can do. They can sit back, they can pass this direction, they can pass this direction. Or they might stand up too, and that might vote in my favor too. We talk about that too. So this is a very unique, strange position that I'm going to be doing here. Okay, so I'm going to be nice and sideways. I have this very weird broken position. Feels good for my opponent, but I'm generally pretty comfortable in these weird positions here. Like I said, there's a lot of things under the sun. So what's weird about this is I got to turn my shoulder in, and this might mimic some knee shield guards from half guard that people might have seen, and I might address that here in a second too. I'm going to drive my shoulder in so I can bring my hips up. Okay, and generally this works a lot really well when they're putting pressure over me, because I'm basically kind of a floodgate. When I want to collapse over my opponent, I can do so. And when I'm lifting my hips up and pushing, he has to put equal force back, right? And me and Gumby and I were working together last week, and he was kind of talking about that give and take of force, right? If I put 100%, 100 pounds of force, he's got to put 100 pounds of force. And obviously, if I put 200 over the 100, it's legitimate. But sometimes, you have to meet their force with their force. Meaning, like if I wasn't addressing this position here,
right, he's going to be smashing me up, and this isn't the best for me. Before he smashes me up in this position, I would want to address this by pushing him away, right? Right now, I feel him loaded up. I feel his weight is connected to my shoulder, right? I'm keeping him connected, or connecting him with my shin across the hip line here. This is a good position for me. I'm not going to stay here long, right? So this first sweep is very, very weird. It's very, very strange. So as I collapse my hips, I'm going to chop my leg down, open and chop, right? I want to make sure I keep pulling my opponent's wrist towards me, right? Because I do not want to give them their hand. And I need to chop and bend my leg, right? It's not that you can't finish the sweep by keeping your leg in front of you here, right? But this is going to make it hard for me to get up because I have yes and Chuck's using to get up. We've been in this position once or twice with each other, right? So I need to follow through, taking him over his shoulder the way he would want to go, kind of like a forward roll. And I need to escape my left leg because I need to get up on my left side. Okay, so let's move back here. So these are going to be tricky to sort of film too. There's a lot of dynamic motion here. Okay, so looks like we're in a good position there. What's up? Even if, he just puts a little bit of pressure, he's falling into the trap here. So I open while my hips are still up. And as I chop my hips down, it creates power for this sweep there. And right now, I felt like I was going to torque his shoulder a little bit, Chuck's shoulders a little bit. There's a kind of an in-between position where you might hurt your opponent here. Okay, I need to address that. That's why I need to take him more over his shoulder here. Okay. And just let me know, Chuck, if I hurt your shoulder at all, because sometimes this is a situation where I might hurt people's shoulder. So open, take him way over his shoulder, and bend my leg. Just like that. For your shoulder at all? No. Perfect. And as you see here, I escape my foot, so I'm on top. And this is still a unique position here too, where I'm kind of trapping my opponent's bicep here. And I might even be able to jump over for a triangle or something like that. But just to solidify my position, I'll move my opponent over here. I'm going to use my arm, kind of like I was doing on the dummy yesterday, to block the hip, right? I'm just going to reach down. And if I can still keep this arm isolated. This is a good thing, right? But if I just want to control my side control, this is still good. Basically kind of in a crucifix side control sort of thing, especially if I can kind of get this arm snatched up. So I'm going to just show that sweep a couple of times. Probably from some different angles. Let's see here. You can still hit the sweep too if your leg gets caught on this side. I had some questions from some students recently, getting caught, or not really recently, probably like 5 or 6 weeks ago, before quarantine, getting caught in this position. Some guys like this position here. You can still hit the same sweep that I just showed without this huge dynamic pendulum motion, right? Because if my leg was here, I wouldn't really put it back over here unless I had any intention to like attack this other arm here, which I might talk about here. But maybe we're in this position here. I can still do the same thing here, yeah. And now I open and chop, and I escape my heel under my butt here. Okay, and this works really well when somebody's really trying to pressure you. Right now, we're being nice and compliant. Chuck's doing what he can for me, but the more and more he tries to smash over the shoulder the way he wants to, he's basically just moving into the trap, right? Especially on that recovery one. So let's think that maybe I'm recovering. So let's say Chuck has his right leg up because he's trying to smash over the other side. Yeah, he's trying to get strong on that side. He's moving right into my trap. Open, kick. And in this case, I kept my leg in front of me, go knee on belly. I want to attack the knee on belly here, right? You see the far side armbar. There's a lot of good things going on there. But if I want to solidify my position, chest to chest, keep my opponent in between my arms. Just going to go ahead and execute that one at a time. Pretty much everything is going to be based on if this one fails, and sometimes it does. It's good to have options. Hips up, yeah, open, yes. That was good, and that was okay. Yeah, the reason why I keep asking if my opponent's okay, right? Because there's a weird torque that happens there as they get swept over. So there is a risk of you maybe there might be a submission, or you have to know how you're torquing your opponent's arm, right? You have to keep your opponent safe on that. So just be careful. And sometimes people tap out of that. I've had people just straight tap from that before, just depending on how flexible people's shoulders are or not. Just a little caveat there. What's up on my shoulder, right? I'm keeping on my bag, open. Right now, I put my leg in front. I know I say bend your leg. I'm just terrified of hurting the shoulder, but there's certain people that I don't mind bending up their shoulder a little bit. And like I said, there's still things that you can do maybe if you get caught here. right? I can show arm locks, or maybe from the half guard. This is also a weird position here. There's still things that you can do. Let's do this one more. Up, open. This was much better. I still felt some hurt on my shoulder. Chuck's a big boy. Just gonna do it a couple more times. Every angle, one more time. Before I do the next. That should be good for now. So pretty. So that one is the hardest one by far of the series that I'm going to show. These next two that I'm going to show you, they have their quirks to it. Obviously, they have every different sweep has some sort of different detail that you have to really focus on. There's always these moments where if you mess this one thing up, it's not going to work. So for this first sweep, because if you don't bend your leg, you're going to have some problems. Okay, because bending your leg and following through there is going to be very, very important for this next thing. Okay, Gumby would say you never throw feints or jabs in jiu-jitsu, right? I'm actually really trying to go for this sweep. Based on you really trying to go for this sweep, you can get to all the next thing, right? So let's talk about it. And I might be able to show this from kind of like a side control recovery situation too, just saying it so I can remember to do this. Boom. So I'm thinking about trying to sweep him, but he's smarter, he's heavy, and he knows to sit backwards. Yes, we're here, right? But I went heavy leg. I created a lot of time and space here, okay? So with that time and space, I'm gonna go over and around that windshield wiper, that streamer, whatever you wanna talk about it. Try not to kick your opponent's head, right? Over and around here, okay? Now my shin is in front of my opponent, okay? Flat surface on flat surface. I prefer to see that my knee is aligned with my opponent's shoulder here, because if it's too close to the center line, he might be able to move that through. That's okay too, because I can throw that lasso through. But let's talk about this first position here. Okay. So these two barriers, these barriers are very important to me. Okay, just this in general, like being able to control your opponent here. Connections with the ground are good a lot too, right? But being able to be this pest and cockroach and know how to be this good kickstand, basically. I always kind of draw to anytime I think or I'm teaching this, I'm always imagining this YouTube guy called BJJ Scout. Okay? He really does a good job at showing you why certain guys' guards work, why certain guys' passes work. Right now, I have some good directional arrows. Right? These are green arrows. If you watch this video just for a couple seconds, you can see what he's talking about. And then the moment my knees go up, these are bad arrows, right? Or even if they go away, this is the worst thing, right? Because I am not a structure to stop my opponent from pressuring me, right? So that's what I'm trying to teach everybody, or trying to enlighten everybody about, is being able to try to be like a cockroach and deal with this pressure here. So jiu-jitsu up here, I got my same two grips. This is not going to change, right? These two grips are not going to change. We're going to do that same motion that we were just doing. Okay, shoulder in, push it. Okay, my knees are wide. Okay, I'm controlling bottom part of the box, top part of the box here. I'm going to do the same thing, but things are going to be a little bit different here. Okay, instead of really chopping down and keeping pulling his wrist up, I'm going to collapse, lead him way out where he wouldn't want to go. And basically, I'm just going to make him do a forward roll. Before he would put his hand on the ground, I'm going to take that away. Okay, so I go here, my knee is on the chest. So as I collapse my hips, scrape, 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 and before this hand would touch, I'm gonna take it off. Okay, and I think I've talked about this before with this. There's kind of this friction and this sort of slingshot motion, this push and this pull. This is not going to work without this. It's very, very important to kick your leg off and pull this tight to your body. It makes no sense to do this and then give them their hand. Pull this off and then tight to your body. You don't want to give them their hand. Even if they post the other hand, you should know in your heart that if you expose their shoulder down to the ground, physics say that they're not going to get swept, unless of course they're a crazy person and like to post their head on the ground. But you know, that's a catastrophic injury I'm not willing to take. Okay? Might as well just take the sweep. It's not so bad. It's up, right? Because I'm taking him over his right shoulder. I know he's going to go over his right shoulder. Lead him out, flick off, and I'm carrying his weight over with my knee. And I end up on top here. Okay. I love doing this with the kids because I can flip them over my leg. It's kind of fun. And this is where some of you guys, if you have kids, you can kind of practice this a little bit. You can flip them through and around your leg. know, some of you guys got babies, and be careful. It's collapse, lead out, off, end up on top, feel like pressure. Doing that a lot. Chuck. This one's, I feel, a little bit more straightforward. And there's not as much caveats about my opponent getting hurt, other than them having to know which way they need to roll, right? Sometimes they might, I don't know, it's fine. I'm going to keep my legs in this position here, because I'm just going to keep showing the same scripture. Okay. So sometimes your opponent might roll over the other shoulder, right? Or you might be in situations where they're trying to use this hand, right? We'll talk about that in a second, but I'm going to continue to show the series of this feet. Okay. 2 grips, got my shin across the hip line. Okay, very important, jiu-jitsu hook, right? Depending on how much of pressure you need, sometimes I might need to bring this here, but I'm really trying to keep these good directional arrows here, right? I go hips up, right? I feel that he's pushing back. Usually they'll push back with equal and opposite force, right? If I push into him, he pushes back. Collapse, scrape my shin, put his shoulder down on the ground. And that's pretty graceful. We'll go here. We'll do a couple more times. Down. Swing my Well, yeah, that might be a thing too. Maybe they try to go low, right? If they're collapsing my knees, this is kind of a bad thing. I probably won't be more in a different recovery mode. Let's go and switch to hand a little bit. So this happens to me being a small guy, right? You're here, and now he starts to bring his chest over here, right? This isn't the worst thing in the world. Depending on how big the guy is, I might just start pushing their head right away to recover, right? Or if I'm in attack mode, right? If he's pushing and collapsing here, I'm just going to start to try to escape my foot through and start trying to attack at that point. There's a lot of things to do. I just kind of wanted to address that. Or maybe I was just being lazy and allowing myself to get collapsed. So there's this Goldilocks zone of as soon as this goes a little bit too low, he's going to smash it, right? So in this case, it needs to be up by his neck, right? Ideally, like I said, I want to make sure this is as far across as it can be, right? It's easier for him to tilt this side of his body over that barrier if I'm a little bit lazy with that. So I'm going to keep that over there. He needs to get past this barrier. He's not. So up. Feel really good here. It's collapse, scrape. Take your opponent where they would not want to go. Okay. Questions? No questions? Awesome. 1 second. Check to stay there really good. All right. There's still yet another sweep from there, and of course, 2 more from the stage that we're at. Of course, there's a million sweeps, but I have to show this next one. It's probably the more obvious one. I already showed the lasso a bunch of times over the course of a couple hours, just showing you the options. The same sweep's going to occur, but from the lasso. The beauty of that is when I tend to want to show, or when I show submission, we're going to have to move back to these positions, obviously, because there's a bunch of things that I can do. Pretty much have it in your brain that you can do omoplata, armbar, triangle, from almost all these positions for the most part. And you can pretty much be able to find those positions, should be able to find those positions from every sort of guard. So you should be constantly attacking everything. Obviously, there's crazy other things under the sun, like lapels and collars and all that sort of thing. But I'm usually just trying to attack what I see, and I'm not trying to think about like the crazy mad scientist stuff that goes along with too much wizardry, but it helps. But we're gonna be in this position here. So for some reason, I felt I wanted to go through all the stages, right? There's some people where I don't even trust them to want to play this position because they might smash or whatever the situation is. They're just too strong. So we're gonna go through with my lasso, right? So we went through all these stages. Right? I went here. I'm just being a little bit lazy with this. Heavy leg, open. Maybe I just don't want to stay here. Kick through, right? You hear that friction. I can go deep on this. Depending on how much pressure someone's gonna put, I might move my foot to the front here. I might even move both feet to the front here, right? This might cause them to do different things, right? But right now, I'm gonna keep this shin across the hip line, right? who knows? Depending on how much pressure he's pushing back at me, remember he has to put equal and opposite force. So I might push him, and then I might move my lasso back in to try to sweep him from there. Or if I have my deep lasso, this is where I'm gonna still try to wind up. Same old thing. This didn't change. I have my deep lasso now, and I'm not gonna take it off. So I'm gonna collapse. And this is super high percentage sweep. I'm gonna take him where he doesn't want to go, bring both of my shins over my center line, bring his shoulder over, right? So now we're in a very unique position here. So depending on what your level is, right? Generally these days, IBJJF rules from brown belt and above say bicep slicers are game, right? So if you're a brown belt and above watching this, know that that bicep slicer is there very quickly, right? There's also a nice wrist lock. So the finish of the bicep slicer is a little bit tricky. Just as the warning, right? You'll be sitting up on this, right? So right now, not just crushing it forward is going to finish it. I kind of have to start to sit back on that, and it becomes really gnarly on that. And especially if I keep my figure four, that's something that I want to do. Sorry, Chuck. Keep the wrist, and I start to sit back. Really good. In that case, I open my figure four. I'm going to show a different angle on it, and there's so many different things to do. I know I said I wasn't going to show any submissions, but that one's the more obvious one. It doesn't necessarily get shown a lot in fundamentals necessarily, right? It's just more of the higher level stuff, and you should just be aware of it because you can get yourself hurt too, or if the person doesn't know what they're doing, right? So it's very important to be like, okay, this is a weapon. As soon as you sweep, right? It's very important to address that. And I'm going to show right now how to not hurt your opponent, whether if you're just trying to get your points or you're just trying to sweep your opponent friendly. And I might I have to really not show certain other things that I want to save for next week. Okay, so first up and collapse, take them over his shoulder, right? Because that bicep slicer is there, we want to respect that. Just make sure that if you want to finish it, try to finish it. If you're coming up, sometimes that's when you might lose it. Sometimes people will let go of this. That's when they lose the wrist if I'm trying to kick back, right? And now we're just going to go to our side control. Right now, I'm still kind of in between. I kind of have a knee on the belly, my foot's on the ground, and I'm just kind of tracking depending on what I need to do. So I'm blocking with my arm, I bring myself down, but I still have the ability to sneak my knee over if I'm thinking about mount or to go back to knee on belly. Okay, just thinking about how can I pressure my opponent over and over. So switch the angles, get some of these classic sweeps going. I think we have to do this angle. Okay, I'll just go through these stages. So right now he sees the trap. He's just gonna sit back. Maybe it's just somebody that's so big and it's like, okay, I see what he's doing, right? I don't feel safe in these positions, right? I generally back up and try to get my barriers back, try to get my armpit space back. Kick down, that doesn't work. Think this is gonna work, maybe that doesn't work. Open. Same thing, hips up, collapse. Ooh, that can work really well. Right now I kind of ended up on the side. That's fine. I just need to make sure that I shoot my hips through, right? My knee joint was on his shoulder. So at this point, I'll shoot my hips through, right? Now, there's some obvious things that some of you that know my game know that I like to smack, or I like to track this arm from the top position, okay? Kind of like an omoplata, but kind of not really. And it makes it really difficult for your opponent to escape. I'll show more of that next week. So right now, I'm just going to shoot my hip through, and I kind of have this reverse position here. Anyhow, just go to your favorite side control. There's lots of things to do. Roll through these options. Oh. I went all the way through right now. That was my intention. Just to go all the way through. It's up, gotta wind it up. Oh, he just gave me all that momentum. That's great. Right now I can get all the way up and take my foot out. Be nice about this and be thinking about how I'm going to attack my opponent. Maybe baseball bat choke, near side arm bar. Maybe just pressure him to death. Same old thing, but my intention is to last this week. Okay, but it's still good to go through all these stages, right? But furthermore, too, so that reminds me. So let me point something out here. So if you're being controlled in side control, yeah, you have your opponent that's controlling you here, right? Maybe they lighten up, even though they shouldn't, right? So let's talk about like kind of this old school escape, right? So I know it's risky to have our arm in this position here, but right now maybe it wasn't viable to get here, or there, right? I'm just going to choose keeping my arms tight for the moment, and I'm going to try to get out of this position. But I'm going to actually turn this into a counterattack position here. So I'm gonna go hips up, create some space. The space that my hips created, now my hips are gonna move into this. And now I move straight into this position, this open guard in between position that I like to use here. Just wildly open guard here, right? I can control this arm, I can control this arm, right? In this case, because I'm counterattacking, they're like, oh, I didn't want to move backwards, right? So move right into it, right? Now I have my opponent inside control. Generally, when an opponent passes my guard, or they have me in an arm bar, or they have my back, I want to escape and do the exact same thing to them as soon as possible. It's generally kind of my mentality about it. It's kind of like a no FU sort of situation. Go to the other side. And that's the thing too, right? Just generally because everybody passes to the right side, generally these attacks and these defenses are going to be better for me on one side. I definitely do have certain things at certain sides. Certain escapes and obviously certain positions should be universal, but generally you're going to develop a good game because of people being right-handed and generally being taught to pass a certain direction. Yeah, depending on where their arm is, right? Hips up, create some space. So the biggest thing that just happened right now is that I'm looking at this space that I created here, right? So my knees, both knees will shoot in there for a moment, right? Both knees will come close, which is usually kind of a no-no, but it's as a means to spread space open on this. Okay, so I go hips up, out. I bring myself into this position. Where my hands are, generally that's where I want my legs. Okay. Depending on what they do, right? Who knows, maybe I'll grab this side of the arm here, right? Depending on what they're doing, I might be able to escape my foot. There might be an easy sweep there. There might be an easy drag here, right? There's a lot of cool things that we can do. I'm going to show this series as more preemptive defense, like at the end, right? Just showing all the obvious things that you should be doing before people are running their pace on you, right? But let's go ahead and review everything that we've done. Let me time it out real quick. I'm going to go that hard review right now and pull us down. I know I showed a bunch of stuff, a lot of details. So many more things to teach. All right, let's go back to sweep one. So let's go straight from recovery too. So we're here from recovery, right? But that was all last week, right? So, but we're making connections. So let's connect whatever it is. It might be a double ender, it might be a single ender. So if I'm able to break these grips and do other things, right? These are different pathways. I don't have to really deal with those other scenarios. I'll probably show what I like to do when they stand up from these scenarios too. That's one of my favorite sweeps are when people stand up or they go one leg up, one leg down. But for right now, he's going to be getting tight and he's going to be going around the corner. Maybe I'm a little bit lazy, maybe I'm a little bit tired, right? I'll go the other side. Boom, there we go. Fight for that space, minutes in there. Gives me that grip. Yeah, I push him way back, right? Because he's not giving me equal opposite force, but that's okay. Generally in sparring, they're going to give that right back to me. So I feel like he gets it back to me, open, chop, end up on top, escape my foot. Right now, I'm kind of sitting over his bicep. If I want to be mean, I can go wrist lock, right? But generally, because they're going to be trying to get up, I'll just take my arms out, block both sides of my opponent's body. Generally good to have a bearing on both sides of your opponent's body, meaning your left and the right side. I'm just going to go ahead and shoot back. If I want to keep this arm, I can do that. There's a lot of super cool things you can do with keeping this arm too, right? In this case, bring this under. I can throw my leg over. I keep things snuggled in. All right, maybe that sweep didn't work. Here we are. Up, chop. So he's sitting back. He felt like that's not where he's going to go. So I bring my shin in. Got my good sharp pull. Yeah, he's pushing that back. Open. Sweep right home. Quickly. Get ourselves in the sharp a little bit. Let's go one spoon stack. Yeah, open. Oh, here we are. He opens. Up. I'll try to go for the first thing. That doesn't work. Here we are. Hips up. Open. He's going out where he wants to go. And he's helping me. Yep, last one. As you see, everything builds. I'm not taking one thing out. So once again, just to be consistent, go over here. I know this battle that I have to win. See, arrows going the wrong way. Turn my hips. Right now it's high, But as I throw my leg over, I block his hip with my hook. This is very important. You feel that, Chuck? Because your hips would want to go around, right? So I'm blocking you on both sides, essentially. But there, of course, there's things you can do. You can pull this leg down, make this inaccurate. But before all that happens, right, I'm trying to make this strong, trying to make this strong, trying to make this even stronger now. Deep lasso, jiu-jitsu hook, right? Lots of different things to do on this. Right now, I'm keeping my hook more near his armpit, right? It's up, same position with that shin. I'm gonna collapse. I'm gonna look the way. I want to take him over my left shoulder. Yeah, he even posted. Try to make that happen. You can finish that bicep slicer. If you can keep his hands separated, go far side armbar right away. All the power to you. All right, team. So we're just gonna stretch out really quick. We're gonna just use our belts. So it's not anything from the beginning. That's all you came here for, technique. Appreciate you. Don't want to show too much. Definitely left some things out from that position, but always got to leave some things out. I'm going to switch our knee. There's some sweeps that lead straight to submission, so I might get away with showing some submissions Thursday. And obviously, I showed a couple of pathways today as well. It's hard to not go to the end of the story, you know what I mean? Distance, 6 feet under. Lucky Chuck didn't get stacked today. Lucky. He went for some roller coaster rides. Depending on how long all this quarantine stuff goes, we get some other series in. Like I was saying, I might add Chuck to my Monday, Wednesday routine just because it's starting to get a little difficult to do a soul material game. Preaching to the choir. Red going to tie your belt. So we got a couple extra stretches and a couple of Grammy roll things. Get nice and busy before you get nice and busy. I'm going one leg forward, one leg back. Chuck decides to join me, he'll join me. Let's make sure there's enough space for you to do the Grammy roll side stuff. I might just do the synchronism. Synchronize. Grammy roll. There it is. Lay out the shot here. Oh. Grammy roll. That's cool. We have our fun. We are bored and goofy. Grab your rope. Grab your rope. Switch your stretch. Go and switch. All right, let's make it to our feet. All right, team. That was Tuesday's class. We were talking about some sweeps from those recovery positions. If you need some frame of reference of some of those recovery positions, look to last week's classes, Tuesdays and Thursday at the 4 p.m. But I think they're categorized by date on YouTube. So sorry, I don't remember necessarily what those dates are. But thank you for your continued support. Like, subscribe, comment, tell us if we should stop talking, be more professional, whatever it is. Let us know. Appreciate everybody. Peace. Have a good Cinco de Mayo.